That led me to court and community service, a really heavy fine.
The pain is what creates the change. Getting to that place where you are actually ready.
Just being fucking real, I think the world does not have enough of it.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Make Men Great Again podcast. Bringing to you a very special guest today. He hails here from Noosa at the moment. And funnily enough, we met in such a random way. We'll get into that in a second. But before we do, welcome to the Make Men Great Again podcast, Mr. Jaxon Tippet.
Thanks, Scott, for having me on. Real pleasure to, jump on. And you've had some amazing guests already on your podcast. I've seen a few of them. I know a few of them. And I think you're going to really kick things off. And I think you've got the passion, you've got the setup, and you know how to speak. And I'm just excited to be able to share my story to the audience and see what they think about, some of the things that I do and some of the things that I've done in my life to get to the point where I'm at today. So
love it. And we were just chatting off camera kind of about that. Like there's generally stuff that I'm interested. We were just chatting off camera saying, I only want to have guests on here that I genuinely am interested in finding out their story. Like, you're a fascinating person, obviously, for those people who kind of don't know you, and this in no way sums up you as a person, but where a lot of people would know you from is probably from, Instagram. You've got quite a large, following on there, which we can go into some of that stuff later. But before we do, who's the man behind the Instagram? If you were to kind of give us, your thoughts on who you are, not, what other people think you are, not what the perception is that they might get from Instagram, whether that be positive, negative, this, that. Who are you to yourself?
Man. In context, man, I'm a very simple guy. I get perceived probably the complete opposite to what I am. And that's the honest truth. I get perceived, obviously I'm heavily tattooed from head to toe. I used to be very jacked. I used to be into the drug scene. I still train. So I used to be into that kind of that drug, steroid, bikey. Can we swear on here?
Yeah, fucking oath.
Yeah, fucking oath. That's what fuckboy scene. Like, people think I'm that type of, I play girls.
Yeah.
Man, I don't play girls at all. Like, I haven't been on a date in over a year, and that's the honest truth. And I think it's just all these little things that, like, I'm very into God and I'm Christian now, and I think I just get perceived as the complete opposite. And it's basically the fact of my image, and it's a sad world because you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and we hear it so many times. Then the fact that I've got the large following and I'm getting seen from this platform, it's like
crabs in a bucket.
It's very hard, man. And it took me down a very hard road, which we'll obviously go into later, where it became, comparison, comparing myself to others. And that started to become very hard with myself because I was never happy with myself because I was looking at the top of the top, and I was still a good person and still looked great and all of this, but I was like, oh, I'm not this good. I don't have this following. So I let myself down, and then I started to revolve around all these mental health issues, and man, I went down a really, really dark road, but I've finally spiraled back. I'm a happy, healthy person. And to say in short, man, my main passion is helping people. That is my main passion. I want to help people around the world because I struggled for so many years, and I wish someone would have helped me. Even though I had help, I wish I would have had more help. And I just want to be happy. I want to, leave a legacy on this earth, and I want to inspire people. That's probably it.
Thanks for sharing so open honestly, man. And I think obviously with my wife also having, a reasonably large following now over in Italy, not here in Australia, but I can relate to some of the challenges that she goes through. And I think somebody recently I saw, maybe it was Alex Samozi or someone like that. I will obviously find myself quoting him a lot on here because he's just obviously an awesome guy. But specifically talking about the larger the following that you have, obviously the more hate that's going to come with that for so many reasons. And whether that's because something inside you triggers them inside, who does he think that he is? Like, people just they really like to pull you down because I think it was Tony Robbins who has the 6 needs of humans. One of them is significance. Now, this is a funny quote that I say anytime that my wife will share to me that someone's trying to pull her down or something. I say, look, even the lollipop lady feels really important between 8 and 10 a.m. and then again between 3 and 4. And because she's in charge of the road, right? Now, we're all going to get significance, and sometimes we get significance in healthy ways, like an achievement, like things. These are nothing to be ashamed about. We all want significance. But sometimes when we don't have the courage to put ourselves out there vulnerably, like you and I are doing right now, you asked me just moments ago, why the name Make Me Great Again podcast? He said, I'm going to save that for the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how much that this came into my heart, the name for this podcast, and I felt afraid to do it, of what people are going to think. Are people going to think that I hate women? Are people, like, all of these ideas in my head? But the point that I'm saying here is that it took me courage to come out and start this podcast. It takes you courage to come on and say, hey, look, I was struggling not that long ago. Hey, do you know people who have been addicted to drugs, or like who have had things addicted to this and this? Do you think they're going to come on a podcast and speak about it? So what I'm trying to say here is that if you can't get significance in a healthy way, we can get in unhealthy ways by pulling someone else down. If you're up here with your 225,000 followers, and someone else has got their 1,000 followers or 5,000 followers or no followers, and they don't have their lollipop lady moment each day with their work or with anything, and they're sitting at home being fucking lazy and feeling sorry for themselves and wondering,
pull you down.
Well, guess what? If I bring you down to my level now, and I suddenly feel like, I found you, you piece of shit, you used to do drugs, you've got tattoos, what a loser, this, that. Yeah, okay. What does your relationships look like? What does your financial situation look like? What does your spiritual system look like? Have you got faith? Have you got a connection? Do you feel loved? What is your date? So it is tough to be in the spotlight, and there's benefits to it, beautiful benefits. But I also want to honor you and say, there is some challenges that come with that as too, because for the amount 225,000 followers, you're going to also you're in the spotlight. You're putting yourself out there vulnerably to get exposed. But this leads me to my first question for you is, what do you, obviously people are attracted to following you, right? Whether it might be so that they can sometimes put you down, or whether it might be because I would see, I've followed you for only a couple of months now, but from what I see is there's a lot of love there as well. How much love would you say there is against, hate, would you say, as a percentage, if you were to just kind of guesstimate it?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, man, it's probably like 90% love, 10% hate.
Yeah.
In the past, when I knew I was doing things wrong, I was, doing drugs, all of that, I reckon it was probably 60% hate, 40% love.
Wow.
So it really has
a lot of hate
shifted
to
a lot,
absorb.
man. And man, it took a mental toll on me. But I think, when you do good, you project good, you're a positive person, people start to see it, man, and it's starting to come back, and it's really shifting. And as you say, those 10%, man, I'm talking like that is a minor percentage out of the whole base of the 225. And those 10%, man, is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
1K followers, 0 followers. They're people that are not happy with their own life, or they are not happy that they've seen you go from this level to that level. So what do? They then pull you down to try and make themselves feel happier.
Especially the people that you used to know.
Man.
When I first, by the way, when we first connected, you're from somewhere near Shepparton, aren't you?
Horsham.
Because we were laughing. I'm looking into the camera now.
How did we even connect? I can't remember.
So we'll tell a funny story, segue, and we'll come back to the old school, friends that hate you, and then they love you, then they hate you again. We'll get back to that, but that brings me back to Shepparton. So I grew up in Shepparton, if you guys didn't know that, and how we met was simply as I had seen one video of you somewhere. Something happened, right? Okay. Something happened, and then I'm up here. And I'm like, I don't know anyone. I've been up here for maybe a month. And I swear I saw, because of your tats, you quite obviously stand out and you're super tan and whatever, right? So I think I saw you like walking down thinking, I think that might be that guy. I didn't even know if I even followed you at that stage. Maybe I just started. And then I saw you again. I'm like, no, that's definitely that guy.
Yeah.
And so it was your birthday. And I just thought randomly, I don't know. You know what? I've never done this in my life to anybody ever. But you know, and we're going to talk about maybe some religion and faith and spirituality later. But this is a good kind of introduction to that. I'm very faith based. So every decision I make is based off my access to a spiritual connection. And I just felt this urge, just message him. I've never done this before in my life ever. I'm like, no, I'm not going to message him. I don't even know the guy. What the fuck? Message him. So I just messaged you, said, happy birthday, bro. Think I just saw you walking in Noosa. Just moved to the area. Hope you're well. That was it. And then I think 24 hours later, you said, thanks. By the way, do you want to come do a workout? And then within a week or so, we did a workout together, and then fast forward and here we are. So it is quite a funny story, but we were talking on the phone after we did the gym session, and we were sharing stories a little bit because we talked about potentially doing this podcast.
It's taken a while, but...
it's okay. Suddenly, you're talking about the steroids and the drugs. I'm like, yeah, I did steroids and drugs. Then you were talking about obviously the mental health stuff, and then I said to you, like where I come from, popping pills, doing steroids. This is like the average person going having a beer, and you're like, where are you from? I'm from Shepparton. No way. So for those who don't know where Shepparton is, it's about 2.5 hours out of Melbourne. And north, sorry. And where's Horsham's only 40 minutes from Shep, isn't it?
Yeah, 40 minutes. Both country Victoria.
Yeah.
Like, literally, man, I probably even saw you when I was younger. Like, it really... And, bro, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to bring this back to God and Jesus. And there is a reason you messaged me. And I'm a big believer in energy.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you had the similar past with drugs, I was like... Because I was even looking at your page, I was like... There's no way I could picture him being a past drug addict. And then you were like, you were saying that... I'm a little bit older than... A couple of years older than you. How old are you? 28.
So I'm 37, right? And at 28, I was still DJing. I was still doing a lot of drugs at 28. Not like... I really quit. Like, I've got 21 tatted on my arm. If the camera can see it. People ask me, why have you got 21 on your arm? That was the age that I told my parents that I was a drug addict.
Wow.
I knew that the only way that I could quit was to confess to them.
Wow.
So I had a conversation with both of them and said separately, they were divorced, and said, like, I'm a drug addict. I'm smoking crack, like breakfast, lunch and dinner.
What was their response to that?
Well, obviously for the fact that they, I'm coming to them. It's been a long time, to be fair. What I think is that if you had seen my lifestyle at the time, I rocked up to Chris with a black eye because I had a punch on with my best friend over who was DJing that morning for the after party. Mum picking me up from my friend's house at 10 a.m. because I didn't have to come home the night before. Hop in the car, black eye, still stinking of cigarettes and alcohol and everything that I am today is the opposite of what I was before because I've been through those lessons. But my parents, they said, okay, well, what do you want to do? I said, look, I don't know. I'm just telling you. I've told my friends I'm not doing this anymore. I was dealing drugs. That was my main source of income at the time. I gave all my connects up to my friend and said, look, if you want to come with me, I said, I'm fucked up. I'm depressed. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, excuse me? I'm telling you, I'm pouring my heart out to you right now that I'm like, I hate myself. I fucking hate myself.
That was me.
I hate who I am. I'm disgusted in myself. And don't be silly. I said, dude, I'm not coming here again. I'm not doing drugs again. I'm not partying with you again. I love you and you're fucked up too. Yeah. And if you can come with me, if you want to play tennis, I'm going to get a real job. I'm going to save money and I'm going to become a personal trainer. And I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for the next 6 months. And saved up money and I moved back to Melbourne and I never spoke to those people again. But the segue was... because the shit that they hated. After that, I obviously was hosting at the best nightclubs in Melbourne, became a model, runway on TV, things like this, then into DJing. So they had big posters of me in the windows, 3 different shops in Chapel Street in Melbourne, right? And that was come story. Scott's gay. Scott ditched us. He's a dog. He's a fucking dog. It was unbelievable. If you guys are watching, I forgive you. I forgive you. I know that it's just the significance thing and you were hurt that I left, but sometimes you got to love yourself enough to leave everything else behind. And, that I really want to understand. I've shared a bit about my story. What was your situation where it was the pinnacle. Did you have a pinnacle moment like me? Like, I actually woke up on the couch from... What led to that was waking up on the couch after smoking and speed all night. Basically, we did this every night of the week pretty much. Played Uno all night and fucked around and DJ'd and whatever else. And then one night I had an epiphany. You'll like this. I had an epiphany. I've got the piece of paper in the front room with what came out. But I woke up. Everyone else was still smoking the crack pipe around me. And I woke up and I'd had a vision. I'd had a vision. And everyone tried to speak to me because I woke and I said, "Don't talk to me." And I wrote out what this vision had. It was like a script of like a step-by-step mindset that it wanted me to, whatever it was. And I wrote it out. And then the next day I went and told my parents. That was what was the catalyst for me. What was it for you? What led to it? And walk me through that kind of scenario.
Yeah, man. So mine was all based around steroids. I did street drugs, but that wasn't my forte.
Yep.
I was always based around image and trying to impress people.
Yep.
And that led me down to the social media, the comparison, the mental health issues. But so obviously I was heavily addicted to steroids. I stayed on for 8 years straight.
No, like you weren't cycling on, cycling off.
And bruh, I look in the camera, I don't recommend this to anyone.
Yeah.
But I want to talk the truth.
Yes,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do not recommend this to anyone. And I stayed on for 8 years straight, which caused a lot of hormonal problems, etc., which I'll talk about later. But basically, I had steroids on me 24/7 for 8 years straight. I was heavily inked. The police knew me, etc. So one day I was driving down, this is in Noosa. One day I was driving down the road. And silly me, like, you know, when you're on drugs and you just don't think, like, your brain's different. Like, you you think you're infinite. You know what I mean?
Especially, what age were you then? Early 20s?
20. I thought I was invincible,
at that
bro.
age, your brain hasn't even fully developed yet, and you literally don't give a fuck about anything.
Literally, man. So I was invincible, bro. I didn't care what my parents were saying. Like, they kind of knew. And I was just, I'd put the steroids in my bag, bro. I'd go to gym. I drive home from the gym and I got pulled up, and this is day one. I got strip searched, and obviously I had vials in there. I had tablets in there, clenbuterol, and yeah, I got a slap on the wrist, a fine, all that type of stuff. My parents found out. It was pretty heart aching. So what do? I was so obsessed with my image and that
you couldn't let it go.
The next day, bro, I literally threw them back in my bag. I started injecting again, and I was just like, that's just a one-off.
I just need to be a little bit more careful in getting caught. I'm not going to stop doing it. I just need to be more careful with getting caught.
So I was just like, I'll just hide them a bit better, or I'll just, I'll do this or that. And then I'm not even kidding, man. Like 2 weeks later, literally driving home from the gym.
Done again.
And obviously they know me now.
Yeah.
Bro, they know my car. But I wasn't thinking, bro. I just wasn't thinking. I was driving home and I see the lights go on in the revision mirror.
Isn't that the worst fucking feeling? Bro, when those lights pop up.
When you know you have stuff in your car, I was just, bro, that second time, I was like, I got a real big light. I was like, oh, fuck. This might actually be something serious.
All right. Hope you're enjoying the podcast thus far. Just want to take a moment of your time to ask that in exchange for this amazing value and guests and hopefully some entertainment too, if you guys have liked it so far and you want to see more, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. At the end of the day, you can continue just to watch and all those type of things, but it does actually have an enormous impact on the level and quality of guests that I can have. And that just means better interviews for you guys. And it also means more impact in the world. The more men that can come across this channel and see this information and see the types of topics, the things that we're talking about, that can change another man's life. So if you've got value, pass it on. Pass on that value by hitting the subscribe button. With that said, guys, let's get back to the episode. Bye for now.
Get out of the car, blah, blah, blah. Strip search me, all the car. I had more on me this time. That led me to court, and I can't remember, man. This was a while ago. Community service, a really heavy fine. My parents were furious that...
just within a few weeks later, like they were feel embarrassed and things like that.
Yeah, they were pretty much like, get out of the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have a job, and man, I was a bit like, wow, overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What did I do? I went back and did the exact... I'm not even kidding, man. I went back and did the exact same thing. 1 month later, I was driving back from the gym, and this was late at night, and I was like, I used to train late at night now because I was like, I don't know, it was something like I don't think I'll get caught.
Yeah.
I don't know
you
why.
changed your whole training
Everything, bro.
time just so you could keep,
It was fucking weird, bro. So I trained like real late, and then I'd just quickly drive home and drive to gym so I can just kind of like get my steroids there, because I wouldn't leave them in the house because my parents, bro, as soon as I left the house, they would go in my room. My mum was like, she knew what was up.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I put them in my bag. And then I drive home from the gym, and literally, man, I'm coming around. I was living in Taunton, and I'm coming around the roundabout, and I'm 200 meters away from my house to pull in the driveway, and the lights go on. And I was like, I was literally shaking. I was like, fuck. You know, bro, it's a class 1 drug.
Yeah.
And 3 times in a row, bro, you are guaranteed jail. Like, you are. Like, bro, I got caught. I actually had a fucking syringe, like, in my bag. Like, it was preloaded with the gear. So I actually put that down my pants. And you'll read online, they've wrote up this massive thing that's completely out of conspiracy of what it was. So I put it down there. So not only do they find all the steroids in my bag, they then actually said, we want to strip search you.
Yeah.
And they started touching around me. So they pulled out this syringe, man, which didn't have a
cap on it.
I didn't have the yellow, what do you put the box? Do you put your stuff in?
Oh, you mean like a disposal?
I didn't have that.
Box.
And then they pulled it out. So it's
So they use it like a weapon, like a...
Literally.
Yeah.
It's almost like having a gun on you.
Yeah.
And then to them. And then so I got done with that and that and that. And then this time they literally just threw me straight in the back of the paddy wagon, and I went straight to the thing.
That sucks, doesn't it?
And I just knew that they were going to call... Well, I had no other option. So they were going to call Dad.
Yeah.
So I got in there and they called, and I knew he was just going to... Like, this was all within the space of 3 months.
Yeah. So
Like,
they're fucking pissed now.
right, this is like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So I got done, bro. Yeah, it was a heavy, 2-3 weeks with my parents and the cops and all of that, and fines. And then I had to, go through a lawyer. I think I spent upwards of $100,000.
You kidding?
No, I'm not kidding, man. On a proper, because I knew I was going to jail. I knew I was going to jail. Like, I knew in my heart.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so I got a top end lawyer, man. I was young, man. Like, I had a lot ahead of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My social media was starting to blow up. I had a lot of brands that I was working with, and I went the night before the court case. I slept down. I was still in my parents' house because obviously they just wanted to be with me for that last court case.
Yeah, they're still your parents, even though they're hating on you right now because they're pissed at you.
They still love
you.
me. And it's crazy. I have a very good relationship with my parents now. But I had a dream that night, and I was like, I prayed. I prayed, and I was like, I never prayed, bro, in my life. And I was just like, whoever's up there, like, please, like, just give me one more chance. Like, and I said this the last few times, like, give me another chance. But I actually meant it this time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's different.
I understand.
And because I actually was shit scared. I was like, what am I going to do? I was still young. I was like, what am I going to do in a cell? Like,
you made a real. You were open to an actual, spiritual contract in a sense where you're like, whatever you tell me to do, I'll actually do it. And whatever that is up there at the time, you think it knew that you were serious.
And I literally said, please, God, give me one more chance, and I will literally prove to my parents and everyone that this is not who I am, and I'm a better person. Went into the court case, fucking shit scared because I was like, although I prayed, I still...
Yeah, you don't have any relationship or any...
It's still the judge's decision.
Yeah.
And judges are assholes, and they don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not going to listen to your prayers. So I walked in, I stood up after all of the talking, and when they're about to sentence me, and he goes, blah, 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 you're not going to be in prison. And I got a lot of stuff, man. Like, I've got a criminal conviction, so I'm still trying to get into the USA, etc. But bro, I think it was like a $15,000 fine or something. And I was like smiling because I wasn't going to jail, but I wasn't smiling in like a cocky way.
No, I understand.
I was like, bro, I felt this euphoric relief when he said, I'm not going to prison. And my parents just started bawling, fucking bawling their eyes out.
Wow.
And I was like, short story, I walked out of the court case with mum and dad, gave them a massive hug and kiss. And I swear to God, from that day I walked out of that door, I have never, ever gone back down that road. And that is why I'm such a believer in God and Jesus.
Yeah.
There's no other reason, man.
Yeah.
There has to be something up there. And I know a lot of people say, oh, yeah, whatever.
Coincidence.
Yeah, but I'm like, no. And ever since then, I have prayed and done this thing multiple times with
other scenarios
in life, and it has always paid off. I'm wearing this now. I've got Jesus tattooed on me, Jesus King. Man, I'm so grateful that Jesus and God gave me another chance in life.
Yeah.
And man, I'm telling you, ever since then, like the past 3-4 years, the amount I've done like with my life, like yourself, like it's crazy. Like I've helped and inspired a lot of people. This is what got me into the podcast and my page and my coaching, and because I want to help people out there that are addicted to drugs or going down a bad road or suffering from mental health or suicide. That's another story. I tried to commit suicide 3 times.
That's after that situation or before?
That was during the steroids.
So before the court case is what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there suffering right now. Also, a lot of people that don't speak about it.
Well, before we move on to anything, I just want to, as we shared before about the courage to come on here and speak, I just want to honor you for just being vulnerable and sharing all that, because it is the most vulnerable thing that's ever happened to you in your life. And people don't really truly, people can sit behind the screen. Somebody said to me, about my couple of first podcasts, said, Scott speaks too much. If you're watching this, I forgive you too. And I wrote back to them in the comments and I said, guys, this is my first 3 podcasts. Number 1. Number 2,
Ever.
I've got ADHD that I'm doing myself. I've actually done a couple previously years ago, but just call it my first 5 podcasts, right? And the set's going to improve. 100%. The guests are going to improve. Guess what, guys? I'm going to improve as an interviewer as well. So if you like the podcast, great. If you didn't, show me some compassion. I'm not fucking Tom Bailey. I'm not Jordan Peterson. Maybe one day I will. That's my aspiration, not to be them, but to be that highest version of myself. Now, in the past, that would have hurt me. Now it doesn't, because I know who I am and I'm solid within myself. And I can assert myself in a healthy way without getting angry. And all of them responded with positivity, or they just ghosted.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you're right. Now, the reason why I'm sharing that is because, like I just said before, takes a lot of courage to share that. You make it look easy. You make it look easy because you've done a lot of podcasts now, but I'm sure the first time you maybe shared on a podcast, it would have been a different experience, right?
Yeah, and bro, I'm telling you, for how many podcasts you've done, I remember back to my first 5-10 podcasts. I listened to them, man. I was terrible. So I'm
up to about 10 or 15, about 15 now.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's
and it's just funny, like how people they hate on you, but you're still giving it a go. Like
I know, that's the point.
The me. If that was me watching you, and say you were still talking too much, or you were jittering or whatever, I would still go, "Hey Scott, like that was a good episode."
You
like,
know
maybe,
why though? Because you're in the arena.
Yeah,
you're in the arena. So people who are in the arena of life, making moves, doing things that are courageous, being vulnerable to say, "Hey, look, personally, I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual, and I believe that." Whether you're religious or spiritual, that everyone's actually saying the same thing. They're just saying it differently. That's my belief. So I don't discredit whether you're Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're spiritual, whatever your thing is, right? But the amount of courage that it takes to do that, because people laugh at you.
Yeah.
People think you're nuts. Now, the point that I'm making here is that 100%, like, you know, it's if you're in the arena doing something that is scary, then you can respect other people that are doing that, and you don't need to see them being perfect. What it actually does is it reflects an insecurity within yourself that you notice something about that person that you wish you had, or that triggers you. So they're thinking, the truth is that person who's attacking me or you or whoever, anyone, they're actually fearful if they looked like that. That's making them feel uncomfortable. If I spoke too much, then on a podcast, I would feel uncomfortable. So I need to tell you that a lot of times, like family, you know, when they come, I'll give you a perfect example because you relate to this, right? Potentially, I went back I see my mum years and years ago, and I was very self-conscious. I think I had a reel come out. It's like I was the chubby kid with the t-shirt in the swimming pool, right? I've grown up. I've made my body. I'm ripped as anything. I have six-pack muscles. I'm a personal trainer. I finally got the body of my dreams. And when I say I'm ripped, I mean I'm 6% body fat, but I'm muscly as well. I get home. My mum looks at me with a face of disgusted and says, "Oh, Scott, you're too skinny." And I was like, in that moment, to say that to someone who's a gym bro at the time, like I was doing steroids at the time.
Yeah.
So I flipped, absolutely flipped out. So, you know, we've come a long way, and but the point was, I want to honor you for what you shared there, I
think vulnerability and just being fucking real. I think the world does not have enough of it, and I think what me and you are doing right now is just, it's so important, because I know there's going to be a lot of people watching this, and there's going to be a lot of people that probably are doing steroids right now, or probably are doing speed or ice, or probably fucking jobless or whatever. And I'm just telling you that that's not who you have to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to project, is that what you are doing right now, you literally can change from tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful
But we
thing.
just shared that just now. I had a moment, but for me, for both of us, and this is what I had Narita on the podcast a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the pain is what creates the change. Getting to that place where you are actually ready. You're not just lying to yourself or to your family or to God, whatever you believe. You're serious, right? And a lot of times it takes getting caught. I mean, I'm not going to go into my journey, but I can relate to the police and the divvy van and all of these type scenarios that led to me, hopefully if you guys are watching this, you can, you don't have to wait until that you're about to be sentenced to jail or,
In saying that though, I do believe you have to hit a low in life to rebound and hit a high.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't have hit that low where I got caught the third time and it was everything's on the line, I reckon I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Yeah.
So I don't regret anything.
Yeah.
People say, do you regret your past? No way. Because it's now helping me to become the person I am, to tell you the story.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
I'm 100% in agreement to that.
But you have to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can only change yourself. And that's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
I had my parents telling me for years, don't do this. I had all this stuff. And, it was only until the point where I was deep down inside in my fucking soul and I was like, no, I'm going to change. That's when you change.
And that's why I think it is important. You were saying before about how people judge you. You got your tattoos. By the way, I think your tattoos look awesome, personally.
Thanks. I'm going to try to do this.
Yeah.
I've never done it.
And what I was saying is that I wouldn't have, like if I'm young, I'm on steroids, I'm doing drugs, I wouldn't listen to someone who's some sort of counsel worker, no offense if you are, coming in with and again, no offense to people who wear glasses, but glasses on with a collared shirt. But if I see some tatted up, maybe not as huge as you were before, but still lean, ripped, talking about stuff. There's another guy I follow online called Lucas Mack.
Yeah.
Love same
him.
thing. You just look at him, you think,
does the breath work?
It does the breath work. Awaken breath work. Shout out to Lucas.
Yeah.
Would love to get you on your podcast, Lucas, if you're watching this.
He's good.
I think it's the fact that you look like that is so compelling because it gives hope to it. It makes spirituality, faith, doing the work, it makes it a little bit cool.
And this is what I try to tell people is like, I'm the exact same man. I used to have counselors, psychologists, all of that type of stuff.
What the fuck would they know about my life?
Literally, bro, even doctors, you know what I mean? But when it comes from someone that's like,
Wes
Watson,
yeah.
it's like, fuck, man, like that dude's like, he's been in jail, he's alpha,
He's
done all this
fuck.
shit,
Yeah.
but he's changed his life around.
Yeah.
It's like I can,
and I love that he speaks so much about spirituality. I'm reading his book, and the amount of he lives his entire life, how I do, but and by the sounds of things, how you do. I don't think he's religious, but with the same principles, prayer and things like that. And I wished I resisted this for so many years because my dad's very heavily into church, and I just thought it was so daggy and all, like that's my teenagehood thing. So but I was saying to my wife that we were just doing some gratitudes this morning, having a coffee, and she said some gratitudes. I shared some gratitudes, and one of my gratitudes was just thanking her for introducing me to spirituality, because I'd done the mindset work, I'd done the fitness work, and those are very important parts. But there's mind, body, and spirit. And the spirit piece was the missing piece. And so I describe it like this, that it's the missing piece. Piece as in a puzzle, that wholeness within yourself. But it's also the missing piece as in the peace that you feel in your heart. When you have a sense of faith, you know that everything is happening for me, not to me, to serve me, not stop me. And there's never a rejection, is always a redirection. And that's what happened. That's something I always say to my clients is that even if that situation feels shit right now, you just shared that the lowest, hardest, scariest thing that happened in your life is also the thing that you're most grateful for, because it led you to be who you are today.
Yeah, bro. And man, gratitude is another thing that we should touch on. I am such a big believer in gratitude now. And I actually learned that through Cooper Chapman. I don't know if you know him. The Good Human podcast. He's a legend. You should try connect with him. And I jumped on his podcast, and once again, I used to go. He told me to start my day with write down 3 things you're grateful for, and then before bed, write down 3 things you were grateful for throughout the day.
Reflection.
And I listened to it, and I'm like, fuck, that sounds gay. Like, you know what I mean? How is that going to change my life?
Yeah.
But it's not until you actually implement it, but what you're actually writing down or you're speaking, you mean it, and you do it consistently over a period of time. Yeah. And man, I'm telling you right now, I do it every single day. I woke up today and I just said, I'm grateful I'm alive. Because, man, if I kept doing those steroids and those drugs, there's no way I would have been alive. And that in itself, like, just to wake up and be alive, do you know how many people in this world will not wake up tomorrow and be alive?
Or wake up and have illness in a child, in a family member, in a parent.
And gratitude can be propelled in so many ways. It can be the smallest thing. It could be grateful that I'm sitting here with you doing a podcast.
Connecting to some random person that texts you that we messaged.
But when you practice gratitude, your day becomes incredibly different.
Yeah.
In a positive way. Do you agree?
100%. There are studies to show that gratitude. They did a study. I can't remember which university or what it was, but they did 30 days of a group of people who didn't do gratitude and a bunch of people that did do gratitude. And what they found is it was the only that you know how there's pessimistic and there's optimistic people.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone knows that pessimistic person, everything's a fucking issue. They're constantly complaining. They look at it rains. Oh, what a terrible day it is outside. So there's pessimistic, optimistic. They said that people, they grade pessimism and optimism with like 3 stages of like kind of low, medium, and high. And same thing with the optimism, low, medium, high. They said they can take a medium level pessimist, meaning that they're reasonably pessimistic, that at any age, all the way up into their 70s and 80s, and they've been that way their entire life, and they can get them to do a gratitude each day, which is exactly what you shared. It's in the morning, choosing 3 things to be grateful, and in the evening, reflecting specifically back on your day and choosing 3 things. And it could be grateful for, or just proud of, or whatever, something along that line, but just a reflection exercise. And after 30 days, that they report that the medium pessimist becomes a medium optimist. That means that they're complete. Imagine you're looking through life through a lens that everything's hard and nobody likes me and everything's tough. And that's, that state that we've all probably been in at certain times. You think, fuck, I'm in just the shitty state. Everything feels harder. Every interaction with a person, I feel like a bit vulnerable. I feel like I'm overthinking everything. And then your other states, you might have a good day. Maybe it's your birthday. Maybe you had a good workout, or maybe you had something successful and you're in a higher state of positivity. But anyways, there's a study to prove that. I probably fudged it up exactly on all the details, but it's proven.
But that's crazy. In 30 days, a month out of your life?
So your whole life you've been, I won't drop the C-bomb, but you've been just a complaining dog.
Dog
is such a terrible word. Dog. You've been a complaining dog your entire life, and you're just fucking complaining about everything. And no judgment on that, because probably things happen. You were forced into like a pessimistic state and you never woke up out of it. But if you're watching this and you feel like life's tough, Start doing some gratitude. And a similar thing too to the gratitude, and we talk about Lucas Mack before with breathing. I was having panic attacks, anxiety my entire life. And I remember somebody saying, oh, you just do this box breathing. You breathe in 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 4. And I remember thinking, breathing? I've been breathing my entire life, you fucking wanker.
Bro,
like, what could breathing, you know why we think the same? Because every man thinks like this. Because we're logical, right? And we don't like, we're thinking, what the fuck could breathing a little bit deeper do? Oh, I'm just going to breathe. And suddenly, all this life illness of anxiety, depression, it's just going to go away in that moment. But it's not until you're in the pain of that moment. I'm driving down the driveway thinking, I want to run up the back of a car right now. Like, I want to go as fast as I can into the back of another car because I'm struggling, and that would just be easier than how I feel inside my mind and my body right now.
Yeah.
And I'm having that thought. And then I'm getting scared by the fact I'm having that thought. You're fucked up. Why are you thinking like this? What's wrong with you? You've always been this way. Like, all these landscapes and environments of thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that guy said to breathe. Okay, now it's looking like I'll give anything a go. You know that moment? I'll even pray. I'll give anything a go. I'll do whatever it takes. That kind of conversation that you have with yourself. All right, let me do this box breathing. I was like, oh, actually, I think that worked. I don't want to run up this. I'm like, fuck.
That was me the first time I did it too. Bro, I'm not even kidding. And yeah, I'm not sitting here saying,
it's not going to solve all your problems.
Yeah, but these things, if you do all these little 5%ers in a day-to-day, I don't know. I think it makes your day completely different.
Yeah. And if you have a couple of good days, you might start to believe that life isn't so bad.
And it isn't bad. I can tell you right now. It's all in the mind.
Yeah.
I'm a massive believer in mindset because your mind predicts everything. So if you have a shit mindset, if you have a negative mindset, you're a negative person. Yeah. If you have a positive mindset, okay, I'm grateful. Thank you, Scott. You're positive, all this. Yeah. You have a positive life.
100%.
What you think, you project.
That is exactly what I was about to say. Being a faith-based person, you shared this before, and Wes Watson talks about this a lot. Like, your external reality is a mirror for your internal reality. So, we're basically just these big vibrational balls of energy, and a bit like two magnets, right? Everyone probably have done this before. Where you get two magnets and you go to try to push them together, and what happens? They repel. You see the objects moving and either being repelled, or you put them in the right direction, the right vibration, the right frequency, and they attract to each other. You can't see that force. That's faith. In the scientific world, that's magnetism. But in the real world, if you're full of shit, meaning that you're negative and you're afraid of people seeing the real you underneath, you're going to hide yourself from things, you're going to be in those lower states of like depression or anxiety or even desire and all these other things, you're probably going to attract more of those things. You won't know. When you have just a bad day, then that you catch your t-shirt on the fucking hook of the door, then you drop your phone in the toilet, then I don't know, something else, then you get a fucking parking ticket. Isn't it interesting how the same thing happens when you're having a good day? Suddenly somebody says hello. Suddenly that deal that you wanted to go through with work went through. Suddenly, I don't know, you get lucky with the misses. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying, isn't it interesting how, like magnets, if you don't have faith or don't understand how these spiritual laws work, then you just think that it's a coincidence the two magnets fall together. But once you learn that magnetism exists, or in this case, spirituality, faith, God exists, suddenly you start to go, oh, I think God had a play in me not going to court because I got in the right vibration of faith that I would trust and believe and devote. And I think that's really important because I think a lot of people, you can do as much, the mindset work, that's a good start. The breathing work, it's a good start. All of these things are good. But I think, and I hope and I pray that at some point people can see people like you and me, pretty decently cool kind of dudes that have had past with drugs and things like that. Not saying that's cool, but just saying that it's not nerdy in a sense. And so if someone's like us and going, oh, that's gay, I think like you said before, that's stupid or that's this, they'll go, maybe if I'm feeling dark, maybe if I'm feeling depressed and I do get to that low point, maybe I am willing to give it a go like I was with the 4-4-4 breathing or like you were.
I love that. And I think that is the epitome of this podcast. I want people to have that exact mindset. Maybe I turn my life around. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I'm telling you.
Maybe don't do it right this second, but maybe in that moment.
Literally, because there's more ahead of life. And also, no matter what age you are, don't think about, if someone's listening to this right now and they're 40 years old and they're doing the steroids or they're smoking the speed, that it's
or
too
even
late.
weed, or
it's too late. Bro, it's never too late.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, it's never too late. You can turn your life around whenever you want. Age is no limit.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So powerful stuff dropped already. Obviously, like I said before, I wanted to, like, when it comes to, I think, like, obviously not every podcast go into spirituality and religion like this. You've obviously got Jesus is King tatted on your back. It's something that is a huge part of your life. And I was like genuinely interested.
Yeah.
Like for people who are not religious, maybe they've got a bad kind of connotation towards, I'm going to say religion in section 1, but also just anything to do with anything that is not seeable in front of me, meaning that it's not as logical or it's not a physical thing, anything that like seems woo-woo or uncool because of when you were younger. Like if we could gift a conversation, which I think we've already started to do, what is it that you feel that, what is it that this choice has given you that makes you so devoted to it that you're willing to cop flack online for it? What is it that you get from it on a day-to-day? If you could share your experience.
Jesus?
Jesus, God,
Yeah.
like what is it that you, I want to really go a layer below the surface and really just slow the podcast down for a second and just connect with that space. Because it seems to me like for someone who has gone as far as like, you know, an allowed platform and really saying, this is what I believe, knowing very well that other people don't necessarily believe that, and standing in that truth, to me, that takes huge courage and another C word, conviction. So to me, that conviction can only come from a place of, the conviction can only come from a place of experiential peace, love, serenity, a relationship that has been built through actual things that have happened. So I know there was this initial catalyst of like going, okay, I think this is something that's real, but many people share that in their religious or spiritual journey, that sometimes they accept it, and then sometimes I think maybe it's not real, maybe it's like, what has been your journey of faith? Has it improved, or has it been the exact same consistency the whole time? Question number 1. And what is your experience of it? How does it help you day to day? What are some things you could enlighten the listeners with?
It's improving every single day. And I think that's like anything you do. The more you do it, the more it improves, the more it becomes better. And the more I actually pray, the more good things happen. And it's taken a long journey. And once again, it's like the breath work. You don't just go and pray once in your life and your world's just fucking amazing. You have to do this stuff, but you have to truly believe in it. And what I really feel deep down inside from Jesus or God, like obviously people have their different.
Yes.
Jesus is King. I don't just get that tattooed on me for no reason.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
being
interested
serious.
in.
Like I feel safe every single day. I feel safe, and I feel loved, and I feel like with Jesus up there that nothing can go wrong now. I just feel like I'm a good person, and Jesus is looking over me, and as long as I'm doing good and I'm praying and I'm doing my things to Jesus, everything in life is going to turn out. And that's as simple as it is. And fucking everything in life has turned out since I've been doing it.
Isn't that a coincidence?
And I'm just being serious. I really just feel like secure, just safe. That's probably the easiest way to say it. Like, I don't know about yourself, but it's very comforting to know that Jesus is looking over me. And a lot of people are going to say, what the fuck he's saying, but I'm being serious.
I'm asking you this because I'm trying to shift. I truly believe the same things you believe. Whilst I'm not necessarily through the line of Jesus is King, what I believe is everything you just shared is the exact same thing that I feel since building, and it is a relationship. Like any relationship, I describe it like the first time I'm having a conversation with anyone. I don't really know you. I don't trust you. I've been told that you're pretty cool.
This is true.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like any relationship. At first, Like, I'm standoffish. I don't really like you. You're not that cool. I don't really want to know you, but I hear you're kind of cool. And I'm saying you as in like I said, whatever religion you are or whatever you want to believe. I'm just talking about a higher consciousness that its core essence is love. Its core essence, and that's why I said the missing piece, because like I said before, I did every mindset course, academy, breath work, and all of it was monumentally helpful. But I still had a lot of deep just pain and sadness. And it wasn't until I had been exposed to it through my wife, and then I came across it through different ways. Number one, just leaving my ex-girlfriend, and then again, it was like one of those times where it was tough. I prayed, I heard a voice, told me what to do, and I normally didn't listen to it. I normally made those half-assed promises like you were talking about before, where I said, "Oh yeah, God, let me out! Don't let me out of the cop station right now. Get me out of this divvy van, and I'll promise you." And I never fucking stuck to it, not once, right? Except for the time I quit drugs. That time I did. But what happened was I went through, slowly. There was another situation that built more trust, and over time, and now that was a monumental thing for me, leaving my ex, and actually for the first time going, okay, even though this is the scariest thing in my entire life, I'm gonna, up until now I haven't listened to, and look what's happened in my life. Let me start listening to this voice. And I didn't know what it was. And I was actually even scared to listen to it because I thought I didn't want to, it just felt icky to me. And I'm sharing that vulnerably because that's probably what sometimes other people feel like. But then from that, I listened and everything changed. And then I listened again. And then I said, okay, what if I just started just as an experiment? What if I just started doing everything? If everything that I've done based off my decisions has led me to here, and I've had lots of successes, but lots of pain and anguish and depression. What if I just listened and did the opposite? What if every single time I dropped into my heart, prayed, and did just whatever the fuck it said to do, I'm just going to do it. And I just started doing it. I've been doing it for 5 years, and my life has completely transformed. I've got a loving marriage. I've got a beautiful daughter. I live in the most beautiful place in the world.
It's really crazy,
it's
bro.
It's just absolute. And now I'm having this serendipitous conversation.
That's actually really crazy you say that, because exactly what you said is exactly what I've done.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
And if you look, there are thousands. There are so many people that feel how we feel, where you do all this stuff, but it's not until, and it's so easy. I would have been that same person that would have probably judged you, not you specifically, but just the fact of I would have intellectualized is the right word, not judged. I would have intellectualized. Oh, because of mindset. Well, he was at a dark point, and then he got saved by Jesus, but he doesn't. And I wouldn't be able to see. I wouldn't be able to make the connection between the two magnets of the things changing in your life and the fact that it was faith-based. And if you're watching this now, maybe you're not ready to have that yet. Maybe it does take you your moment. I'm not going to push that on you, but I do want to invite you into a conversation where you can see two regular men that are not in any way, we're really putting ourselves out here. I feel like, for me, the experience, the experience that I have is that for me, I told you, it took me, I knew I was going to be speaking about the things that I'm speaking about now, because I did, and do you know what ayahuasca is?
Yeah.
I did an ayahuasca ceremony, and it said, you are a bitch. You're a bitch. You talk to your clients about all this stuff, spirituality, and you hide this from everybody else. You're not authentic. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to everybody else. You're not being authentic at all. That's why you're not posting content online, because you believe these things and you're keeping to yourself. I spent 12 months of healing just to even be able to speak like this. And as I'm saying this, I feel confident in it. But there are parts of myself that goes, oh, what are people going to think? So,
And respect to you, you know what I mean? I think you're doing awesome. And that's a great job to, open up and do what you're doing. And I think a lot of people should respect that and fucking give this thing a share. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's the same thing. Like I pray. It's the same thing with gratitude. You can do gratitude 100 times a day. Yeah. You can do it once. You can do it 100 times.
Yeah.
Praying, same thing. You can pray once.
Yeah.
Man, I'm starting to pray. Fuck, man. I'm not even going to lie. I prayed 15 times yesterday. 15 times. Someone will go, what the fuck are you doing? I prayed 15 times.
Can I just ask how you're not squatting down by the bed or kneeling down? Like, how are you praying? You just walking down the street and you're just having a little prayer to me is just a conversation. Like you would have with your partner or with your wife or with your friend. It is a friendship. It's a relationship.
He's my friend. He's my best friend.
There's a relationship. So you're just having, just so people know, like, so they can, I want them to paint a picture, whether they're on Spotify, Apple or YouTube. I want them to like imagine what you're doing so they could think, like they could, if they're not doing this stuff, they could kind of understand.
Because I was the same. Like, same with meditation. I used to think meditation, you have to get in this yoga pose and...
That's what I think of prayer. I think of prayer kneeling by the bed and going, "Dear Lord Jesus, please bless my soul." That's the picture that I have, because that's what's painted to us in movies and books and things like that.
Don't get me wrong. I have mates that I have seen them do that. They literally get down to the ground. And I still do that every now and again. I still sometimes sit there and go like that. I actually did that on the treadmill the other day. I literally sat there while I was walking and prayed. But now when I pray, it's like I'm just as you were saying, I could be walking down the street. But when I'm praying, I make sure I'm not distracted. So
you're present.
I'm not having earphones in. I'm not fucking doing something else. I'm always close my eyes. I'm always actually connected. And what I actually say, I truly mean. So I don't just say, "Oh, I hope this podcast fucking gets 1 million views." It's just kind of like bullshit. You know what I mean?
You might pray. Like, I just literally, I'll give you a perfect example. I had a shower before because I went for a run, did a swim, washing all the clothes, and I did a prayer in the shower. I just literally said, "God, help me be a vessel today. Help the podcast really, like, I don't know what I'm going to say. Like I said to you, I don't have question after question written. Now I have a few themes I want to go into, like we've gone through, but just like whatever's best for the highest good of all. If we go fully religious or spiritual today, even though that parts of me might feel uncomfortable, I trust you and let me be a vessel for whatever you think is going to be for the best good of all on this podcast today." That's my prayer. And then I said, awesome, and I moved on.
And I think God has listened, because it's been I've never actually gone this deep into what we're talking about. So it's very cool. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, wow, this is, you know what I mean? It's going to be interesting.
There'll be some people kind of a little bit squirmish in their seats. That's okay.
But man, I'm not going to lie. I've been praying, like, every day's getting better and better. And I've been praying, and I don't even know how to explain it. It's like...
Because it's not like always explainable.
No, but it's like manifestation.
It is.
So I literally prayed yesterday. It's just fucking weird. And then it literally happens. Like, something will happen straight after. And it's like, oh my God, like, that actually just happened. And I literally get shivers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's euphoric, bro. It's the best feeling ever.
There's a great thing on Instagram. I saw it was floating around. Not that I saw it float around a couple of times, and it was not a carousel, but like just a regular post, and it said, Jews believe in. I'm going to fuck this up, so just don't hit me up. Don't smash me in the comments. Just have some compassion, guys. Something along the lines of spiritualists call it manifestation, scientists call it quantum physics. Religious people call it prayer, but nobody's denying its truth, and that is the fact that you can have a conversation or a prayer or write something down, and that if you completely negate whatever you just wrote down or prayed for, if instantly you believe it's not going to be true, because from a vibrational thing. You've got the laws of manifestation, or the universal laws, are that you have to be in the same vibration as that thing that you want. So if the reason why faith is so important, and that's why as you build more faith, as you build a greater relationship, and you go, "Oh, I asked for this, and then this happened. Oh my God. Now I don't just have random faith. Now I have trust, because it's proven to me. I can have faith that my girlfriend's not going to cheat on me, but if she goes to a party, and I'm talking about 20s, I've got a wife now and she doesn't go to parties, but as a silly example, but when you have a disconfirming experience that they go and they don't do that, that's what builds the trust. It's not just some random thing in you. So you've actually built a solid foundation of trust. At the start, it was faith. God, please, 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 I promise I'll never do it. But you don't actually know. Then another thing happens. This is why it's hard for people. Like, once you're at a stage where you're not just on faith anymore, it's actual trust, because you've seen and you can witness those magnets, that manifestation pulling together. then it's undeniable. And that's why I think this podcast is so important. This particular conversation is important because people have heard of manifestation, they've heard of God, they've heard of this, they've heard of that. But if we could just, invite people into that, it doesn't start out as trust. You can hear go, how could they be so confident with this? It starts out by being curious and being open and then just giving it a shot. And then being open and being curious and starting off with just faith. Let me just see. I've always done it this way. What if I actually listen? What if just God or Jaxon or both of their voices are in my head at this moment in time? What if I just did pray? And then maybe something turned out. That's your invitation to go, let me try that again.
Yeah, and the trust it's 100% true. And the more you do it, the more God trusts in you and vice versa.
That's like any relationship, isn't it?
It's true. Like at the start, he might have been like, oh,
this guy
doing a
talks
prayer.
shit.
But, 2 years, every single day I haven't gone a day without praying.
Yeah.
And, you hear it all the time. It's trusting God. And that, I'm not going to lie, that actually leads me to my next tattoo. I'm going to get trusting God on me.
Yeah.
And the trust it's big. And I have all my trust in God and I have all of my trust.
But trust is earned, isn't it?
It is.
In both ways.
It is. And you have to earn it. And I didn't earn it at the start. And a lot of people don't earn it when they're doing these odd praise, once in a blue moon and they're not truly meaning it. But if you do all these things consistently and you mean it, not only will you trust God, but God will trust you.
I want to bring it back to Wes Watson again because he says, was it Wes Watson, Andrew Tate? I think it might have been Wes Watson. But he basically said, to your point, that you honor God not just by being grateful. So you said gratitude isn't just doing the writing it down, it's showing that you're grateful. So if you do something nice for me, I could say thank you. That's one level of gratitude. Another way to show another level of gratitude is that at some certain point in time, not because I have to, but because I want to, I might show you that I'm grateful for you coming on the podcast today.
Yeah. 100%.
And in that moment, you're going to feel what? You're going to think it's not just some random thank you from Scott because he's happy that maybe his podcast is going to get a few extra views. I can see in Scott's heart that he was genuinely appreciative. Oh, what does that make you feel? Makes you feel like more likely that you might want to do another thing. And I think that's the relationship, whether you're human.
And I do that all the time now. It's like energy. It's like I say, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Yeah. And that's why when you hang around these types, the right people.
It's got to be that, what stood out, and I want to make a point of it's got to be, and you already know this, but I'm pointing this out to the listeners, it's got to be genuine. It's not just the scratch. It's not a transactional thing where you and I are both just trying to get something. I know.
But I mean, it just happens coincidentally because
it's genuine.
Because it's fucking genuine. So exactly what you said, like you might be appreciative that I come on, but then I can tell that because I know, and then it's like, oh, I want to get you on my podcast. That could be a prime example. And then it's like, I want to take you out for dinner. Or just little things that happen, bro. And it's
not agenda based. It's not like so that I can get this by to this. Like so many people, when you talked before about and I'm going to make an assumption here, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said like the tat life, the steroid life, the bikey life, that's a real Gold Coast vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's where you were living prior in that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I would imagine that what comes along with that lifestyle is a lot of maybe potentially transactional, and I don't want to judge anyone. Everyone's just doing the best that they can, but more of those maybe potentially less genuine situations where people are trying to get things from people, or it's more image based
100%.
Rather than just genuinely hanging around with people because you genuinely, here's a great thing, like after spending time with them, you feel good.
Yeah.
They make you feel good about yourself. They don't make you feel shit. Oh, great, this person's really cool and they're rich and they've got a Ferrari or they've got this or that, or maybe it's anyone. Maybe even if it's you want to have a relationship with a spiritual relationship, how does it make you feel without it? What does it make you feel when you have it? I mean, these are pretty basic indications, but if we can hang out and then afterwards, I feel valued by you, I feel acknowledged by you, naturally there's going to be attraction to want to spend more time. And I think it's the same thing with spiritual faith.
And this is what I want to say is this is another reason that I got off the steroids is I started to project through my head. I was like, I don't care how big I am, how ripped I am, how many people I'm impressing, how many girls think I'm hot. At the end of the day, if I'm not alive, because like obviously, I was not healthy. Yeah. If I'm not here tomorrow, what does any of that mean? And then I started to go, hang on. nobody is going to remember me for
Being hot.
my bicep vein or my six pack or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to remember me for how I made them feel and what they remembered me for when I left them.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
How you make someone feel when you leave them, or when I leave this room or I leave your house today, how I felt from this thing, regardless of what you're wearing, represents. Shout out to George and Michael. Send him some shoes. Shout out to what you're doing. Regardless of all the materialistic things, how you made me feel is going to be the first and foremost of what I remember you as.
Yeah.
And that's so true. And that's why I say your circle is everything. Who you surround yourself with is so important.
Yeah. And look, we haven't touched, and look, we're not going to go into this particularly, but I would just like to add that goes for you, the relationship, i.e. your wife or your girlfriend.
Definitely.
Doesn't mean that you just, every time somebody you get triggered, that means it's their fault. You got to take some personal responsibility for yourself as well, naturally. But at the same time, if you just get that, I spend time with this person, I just get that kind of icky feeling, like.
And I've had that on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
But you just know that's, you don't hate them, but that's just maybe not the person that you're meant to surround yourself with. You don't have
to judge them. They're not there yet. They're focused on their own insecurities and things like that, climbing certain ladders or whatever else.
And when you switch your circle to people that are on a higher frequency and a positive, and your life will change. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It will.
It like I said with you before, it took me having to just leave it. Well, I left all my friends behind. That's why they were.
But how good do you feel?
Dirty.
And how far have you come since that?
I can tell you right now, like I was an electrician. And then I was a drug dealer and a concreter, and then it was the personal trainer that then I started to hang around with wealthy people. My clients were doctors, lawyers, CEOs, and entrepreneurs. And I worked with these people because they were my clients. I only worked in rich areas because I thought these are the best clients to have, because they're not like, even though it's funner to train gym bros, much more fun. Well, at least that's in some ways. I got to spend 50 to 60 hours a week for 13 years with some of the most successful and wealthiest people, and not just the money side of things, but they were 40 to 75 years old. So these are people who have their shit together. These are people who are mothers and fathers, and that's when people hear my story, which I'll probably share on your podcast when we do it. They go, "How the fuck are you? How are you even speaking normally?" Number one, but like. You know, the environment and the people makes such an impact, whether that is your friends, whether that's your family, even family. You know, they can certainly
everything you do,
anyone,
what you put in your mouth, everything you do in a day-to-day basis projects.
Yeah, it impacts how you feel, dude. I had no idea that
I'm actually hot. Like I'm in the zone.
I actually had no idea that we were gonna go here, and that's like what the prayer was before. I said, just lead me wherever you want, you want me to go. Just I'm willing for you to take me there, because when, like you said before, I said, "Oh, hey, do you want me to share with you what we're going to talk?" You said, "No, I don't want to overthink it." Same thing with me when I write too many things down. The first podcast I did, I was going through a question like this.
You know why we do that? We both got ADHD.
Well, yeah.
We're very similar.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
I know. That was the funny thing when I spoke. I'm like, fuck, how is it possible? Anyways, long story short, I want to wrap this up because I want to just keep nothing but the golden
This
golden
is going to be awesome
here,
because no one has ever heard me talk about this. So this is cool.
Because you've done so many podcasts, right? And I think what I said to you at the start of the podcast, I really want to get to know the real you. Yeah, okay. And I'm not saying that what you see online isn't the real you, but it's a layer of you.
Yeah.
I want to get to know the layers, the layers underneath, because I think I saw you speak on other podcasts and you really opened up your heart. I think it was the technicians, and you even shed a couple of tears. And I was like, wow, what I see when I look at this guy is I see someone with a beautiful heart. That's what I see, a beautiful heart. But I see someone who's a couple of years younger than me, and I wasn't until maybe 30. I like, you're much further ahead than I was at 28, and your journey. I was still. We won't go into that, but I was still in my stuff, right? And I just see this person with this beautiful heart. When you conveyed what your message was, and you're open and so vulnerable, I saw parts of you that I felt inspired by. I'm like, I want to speak with such a conviction about the things that mean so much to me, and I think it's beautiful to get little pieces from different people. So, yeah, I that's what made me want to I didn't know where it was going to go, and I'm glad that it came here, but I thought I want to get to know who the real Jaxon Tippet is, and I hope that I know that today we've provided a really unique experience.
And there's obviously depths we can go in. Like we could talk about this.
Well, we can do a second and a third one.
We've touched on it's very good. I know what you're saying, but there's levels to this. But that's who I am at this time in point right now. Even though I look like this, and I think it's cool. I'd love to know your journey too, and I really want to go into it because I think anyone that turns their life around is fucking inspiring.
Yeah.
Dead set.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're watching this right now, whichever camera on, you don't have to be doing steroids. You could never have done a drug in your life.
Yeah.
You could not have a single tattoo. I've got about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But you could have no tattoos. You could have never done. And I want this to still land for you that if you're unhappy with your life, if you wake up every day, like I've had depression multiple times. I've never tried, but I have been suicidal multiple times. Mostly the most severe was when I was in my teens. I actually was genuinely thinking about it. But if you're someone, man or woman, child, teenager, adult, if you're unhappy with something in your life, I don't want to call myself a fuck up, but if someone like me or someone like Jaxon can turn the life around, like there's no point in life where even if you've got a family, even if you've got responsibilities, you can have conversations with people, you can get support, you can make changes. Whatever you're struggling with, the point is it doesn't have to stay that way. And I would argue a final point that pain is not here to hurt us. It is here to help us. If you look at both Jaxon, myself, and any motherfucker situation that created the catapult to transformation, it was always pain. So if you're feeling a lot of pain right now, well fucking done. You're about to go through a monstrous transformation. If you are willing to surrender, if you're willing to ask for some form of support, have a conversation, reach out to me or reach out to Jaxon online on a platform or something.
And pain equals purpose. And I am no different to anyone out there listening right now. I just decided to turn my life around. I decided to have a red hot crack. And this is what happened out of it. And same with Scott. And I think this is awesome. And, if anyone, found any of this segment or any of these reels that we will post inspiring or helpful from Scott's perspective and myself as a content creator, give it a share, give it a like. Don't hate. You know what I mean? We haven't done this to try to do anything wrong.
We're not trying to force anything on you. If you don't agree with it, then
just skip to the next slide. But if you truly like this, please go give it a share and tag myself and Scott and his podcast. And there'll be much more to come. I'm going to get Scott on mine, and we just hope you got something out of this.
Or share it with somebody, even if you kind of like, I'm not too sure, share it with a friend and have a debate about it. Ask them, hey, what do you think about this? I've got a couple of friends now. Shout out to one of my mates, Matt. He kind of stayed up here for a couple of weeks, and I had no idea that he was spiritual. Been my friend for fucking 10-something years. And I'm like, we're talking, I think because he felt safe and sorry for exposing you here, Matt, but because my wife is very spiritual and unapologetic about it, and so am I now, that probably was an environment where he felt safe to share those things. But I think maybe if you're a closet, not gay, but if you're a closet person who, to actually start conversations within their friendship groups.
And it's okay to open up and, as you said, it's not gay to pray. It's not gay to meditate. It's not gay to pray. It's not gay to fucking breathe. But it's cool. I didn't even know you were spiritual until I got on here. So you opened up, and now we all feel better. So open up, give it a share, and show Scott some love.
Guys, just want to give a massive thank you to Jaxon.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
For coming on and sharing his story. I'm sure that you'll see more content from him as well. We'll tag all of his Instagram and YouTube and whatever underneath wherever you're watching this. Like I said, share the reels around, save them. Hopefully Jaxon and I will run it back and we can delve into some more stuff and share a bit of my story. But for now, thanks for watching. If you got anything from this, also comment underneath if you've got any questions. I can pass them on to Jaxon. If you've got any questions about this, drop it in the comments.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
If this is on YouTube, Spotify,
can even answer them on my stories.
I was going to say, I can message him. If we get enough, well, let's put it this way. If we get enough questions that's worthwhile, we'll do a live together on Instagram.
100%.
And we'll answer the questions live.
That I'd love to do that.
So, guys, this is the Make Men Great Again podcast. I'm your host, Scott James Andrews. Thank you so much for watching or listening. And, we'll see you in another episode soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.
What an awesome episode. And if you want to watch more, just click the button here, here, or here. Watch the next one, and we'll see you soon.